And I am Lyndon Thorpe. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining me here. Yeah, I've got a lot to say today. Well, I always have a lot to say, but welcome, really. It's great to see you. And we have Ebby Sheila here, who I'll bring onto the stage now. My loyal companion, here she is. There she is. Wonderful. Thanks, Ebby. You've been so busy this week with your summit. Abby's had the most wonderful summit and so busy, but she's still showing up now, still smiling. That's great. Wonderful. And we should be seeing Muhiba, Dr. Jamusi, very soon, I think. I have no messages to the contrary, so she'll be here in a moment, I'm sure. Okay, let's get started. As usual, I'm going to give you a little presentation just to set the scene, because today is a little bit unusual. I want to pick people's brains, and especially Ebby Sheila's, a new project in mind, which brings Lodestone into corporations and companies. So I'd like to set the scene for that so that you can see what it's all about, and then we'll talk about it and get Ebby Sheila's feedback about it. Okay, so let me first of all go to my presentation slides. Here we are. Just add them here if I can. There we are. And I'm going to go large. And Muhiba will join us when she comes. She'll just pop on the screen any minute now, I'm sure. Okay, so yeah, this week's topic is your body is your leadership. Oh, by the way, welcome LinkedIn members. Thank you. I'm streaming to LinkedIn. I'm also streaming to YouTube. Last week we had a bit of a disaster because we tried to stream to Facebook as well, but it just didn't work. It's too heavy, I think. So sorry about that, but never mind. We'll do Facebook in the future. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what's this all about? Well, yeah, as you can see from the flyer, your body is your leadership. We've been leading up to this. We've talked about many things: diversity, age, gender, discrimination, all sorts of wonderful topics. Is a little different because I just want to set the scene for this project. Well, let me tell you more. So yes, I've been reflecting for a long time, and I don't know about Ebby Sheila, but I have been reflecting for ages about wellness programs, group wellness programs. I researched them several years ago, and they were really poor and got a very bad press in general. And so, yeah, I was amazed that companies are willing to spend money on these very doubtful programs to take care of mental health issues. I think Muhiba is here. Just one moment. I think she's here, so I'll just bring her onto the stage. Yeah, there she is. I'll add her to the stage. She's just revving up now. There she is. Hi. Oh, so glad you could make it, Muhiba. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Sure, you're very busy, but it's great. We're a real three musketeer group, aren't we? Fantastic. So, yes, what about corporations, companies, and why don't they address the mental health issues properly? So yes, my research started about 3 years ago when I got really interested in working in the workplace with my skills, my embodiment skills. So I did quite a lot of research, and I've recently researched as well. So yeah, let's see what's happening. These programs are so bland. I'll tell you a little bit more about them in a moment. And basically, they don't reach people who are really vulnerable. And the problem is, of course, one of pride. People who feel they're going crazy don't want to own up to that in front of their peers. They want to do that quietly. They want to stay in the background, and lobbing people into groups to do exercises and so on does not cut it with a lot of people who, for example, are experiencing burnout or on the verge of burnout. So I started to think about how we could introduce a much more scientific and spiritual approach to burnout, which I've mentioned many times in past weeks. And what would need to change for adoption in real workplaces? This is really so important. So I've developed Lodestone Inside, and my main product is called Lodestone. It's an audio transmission product. It's 30 days, and you do 30-minute session every day. And by the end of that time, you really have started to soften the hardwiring of your brain, the conditioning, and you started to come down out of the limited mind. Remember, there are two minds. The limited mind, which is a great tool. I'm not poo-pooing it at all. We can't survive without it. It's a fantastic tool. But like any tool, we need to put it down. So if you're using a pencil or some software, you put them down, you switch them off and come back into your unlimited mind. And the unlimited mind is your place. It's your way to live. It's the way of living. And then we can use the tool as well. So really, we've got two minds. Other cultures would say even more than that. Here in Japan, the mind is in the heart or the gut, and that people touch their heart and gut when they're talking about their mind. However, that's complicated by other things, which I won't talk about today. So, yes, my Lodestone Inside really wants to become the missing link in corporate well-being. So many people are talking to me about how terrible the conditions are in workplaces and how they just want to leave. And I know several people who've just quit. They can't stand the pressure, and they've got lots of damage to their nervous systems and so on. So I want to really get into that. So I started to create a discrete, embodied path for burnout, imposter syndrome. Okay, so I'll just tell you a little bit more about it. Yes, the problem is, how familiar my guests are, or the audience is, with corporate wellness programs. They are really awful. I think this picture sums it up. People in their work uniforms doing yoga. And really, this doesn't cut it at all. It doesn't go anywhere near to the distress that they're feeling. It's group-based, it's public, it's performative. So yet again, they're out there performing in their group. And the coach or whoever's running the program, gives them scores and things like that. It's the last thing they want to do is more performance. And all the programs I've researched, and I look forward to input from Ebishila and Muiba, are all mindset-based. There's no mention of body, no mention of spirit. All the things we've been talking about in past weeks, no mention at all. So these programs leave people still in burnout, suspended really, not touched at all. And I feel so sorry about this. I really have to do something about it. So yeah, we've looked at disembodied leadership, and we can see how it appears, or maybe you're even experiencing that in your workplace. And I'm sure Debbie, Sheila and Muhiba have worked with people who have had terrible trouble with this kind of thing, micromanaging and over control. I've experienced it too as a teacher, and it's awful. It just kills any incentive you've got. Reactivity, anxious decision making, things are always a drama, and the people at the front line have to do something about it, while the managers hide behind the front line. This is very common. Yeah, and people are burning out and they feel shame about that they're not good enough, not strong enough. And then we've got imposter syndrome. So they start to feel there's a huge chasm between their exterior and their interior, and that leads to complete breakdown. So disembodied leadership really is disconnection from both purpose and people. It's like a kind of virus that's going on unstoppably, and something needs to be done about this. So yes, the other thing I've researched is the cost to companies of rising absenteeism and presenteeism. In other words, those people who are there in the workplace, but they're so zonked out, they're not doing anything at all. They're just pretending to work because they're so distressed. Staff disengagement, high turnover, fear-driven workplace cultures, and this really applies in Japan. People are terrified of their bosses. It's awful. Yes, and so my research led me to this staggering statistic. 80 to 90% of wellness funds go unused. And this is especially true in the UK. Especially true. And I'm in touch with a few people there who back this up. So companies have all this money for mental health support, probably subsidized by the government if they're a big enough company, but they never use it. And the money just builds up and the people just burn out. It's very, very shocking, really. It's been handled so badly, I think. Here are a couple of case studies. I won't linger too long on this, but yeah, if we look at what these being programs are throwing at people, they are AI-created meditation apps, and they're really awful. They're so false and so negative, really. They will induce negativity. Mediatopia, Unmind, these are some of the more popular ones. Centrica UK is really bad, I would say. And, these are supposed to solve all the problems. There's very low engagement. There's supposed to be a perk, but there's no measurable transformation. Nobody's looking at how they're working. It's a kind of fob. They're fobbing people who claim to be burning out off, which is awful. So what does Lodestone Inside offer? Well, it's a discrete system. It combines science and spirit, as you know. It's one-to-one, because I refuse to admit and accept that somebody who's burning out wants to talk to a group. I know that is not true. It's not an encounter situation, or I'm Lyndon, I'm an alcoholic, that kind of situation. It's not that at all. It's much too delicate, much too intimate to be aired in a group. So one-to-one embodiment mentoring, Zinzino, blood tests and balance oils, which I use and recommend heavily, home blood tests, and then the balance oils will balance out your omega-6 fatty acids, which are caused mostly by stress. And then you'll get your daily Lodestone reset, 30 minutes a day, maybe twice a day if if you've been sent home from work. And there's also a body awareness scan, which I look at the results of with the client, and then we decide on what to do next. So this is truly confidential support. I have client privilege, doctor-client privilege, if you like. So there's no stigma and there's no disclosure at all. It's completely confidential. Yeah, so in this way, we can really measure transformation, both scientifically and, of course, physically. And once the omega acids really settle down, there's real physiological change. The nervous system settles down, and so people start to relax and radiate. No stress, clarity, no brain fog. And on top of that, confidential reporting. And all of this will bring together their body, their spirit, and their mind, which is how we should live. There's no good living in the limited mind. It's a super tool, as I said earlier. Fabulous tool, we need it, but it's only a tool. We can use the unlimited mind to live in. And that's where we find true happiness and true success. So who is this for, Lodestone Inside? Well, it's for visionaries, really, who maybe are on the edge of burnout. It's for HR professionals who want desperately to be well but carry on working, founders, executives needing resilience, mistakenly believing that resilience resides in the limited mind, which is not true. It resides in the nervous system inside the body. And for teams who care deeply but are so worn out by poor leadership, poor conditions, and lack of transparency about their situation. They're not getting the distress signals, so they're just sliding down the slippery slope of burnout. So, yeah, why now? Well, because it seems to me, and statistics reflect this, that burnout is increasing, imposter syndrome is accelerating. As we've mentioned, wellness programs don't help in any way, it seems. And so we need a completely new approach where science and spirit come together, and this will create a resilience that lasts. So my analysis after much research is that we need a new model of corporate well-being. And we're talking about thousands of employees in corporations and companies. So that's all I have to say today, but I would like us to just focus, if I can just go back to those little questions at the beginning. Nearly there. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to come back. Okay, and I'm going to talk to my lovely guests. So let's just see all of us there. There we are, the three musketeers. Wonderful, wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for coming. If nothing else, we can have a laugh. So yeah, if you've had a week like I've had, you're really looking forward to just relaxing. So let's just brainstorm about this. How do you feel about Lodestone Inside? Sheila, what about you?
How do I feel about Lodestone? Was that the question?
Yeah. How do you feel about Lodestone Inside? What I've just described to you, the idea of going into companies and corporations, creating a new model.
I think it's a really great idea. I am in shock that you're saying they're not using 80 to 90% of those funds. I am aware of those companies that you mentioned, and I'm really in shock because they do, on the surface, it looks like they're doing quite a lot. But again, the AI apps, I've used the AI apps before. I didn't know because I thought it was just me with my focus and my concentration. It doesn't connect. It doesn't connect with me.
No.
It's very superficial, and it does nothing in terms of reaching you. So again, I think it's that disconnect that we have with the third part of us, which is the spirit side of us. So the, we use the people who created the apps, and they are good, and they might help people who are really, really way down at the bottom. They might get them out, and I mean, it might be a first step. I don't know, but for me, it doesn't work. And I think because the apps cannot, it's impossible to connect with spirit. Only another human being can connect with spirit because spirit carries energy, and that energy connects with each other. We are social creatures, and we being in isolation creates mental issues for us. We do need that contact with other human beings. I don't know what it is, and you might be able to explain what it is, but there's some sort of invisible energy that's going within us. And when you've got something that's artificial, it can't do that because it's not human. It's even if it's the best app in the world, it just can't. And that's my experience. And I think going into companies, it's much needed. The burnout is a real thing and it's been going on for decades now. The imposter syndrome is a real thing. And to work on those things, you have to go to the root cause, and that's the body, mind, and spirit. And the body is so important.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's great support, Abby. Thank you. And I can see you've had experience of this. But what amazes me, I've used these apps just for research, really. What amazes me is that they are created by people in limited mind. So, this is the problem with AI. I was of AI
It's
experts.
very academic. It's academic. So on paper, it's great, but we are human, so it's different. I think this is the thing people fail to understand. Human beings, yeah, so it's using the brain, which is great because you do need the brain, but that missing part of another human.
The missing piece, yeah. So, yeah, if people with limited minds program AI to make these apps, what can we expect? We can expect the frustration we have AI already, which is terrible memory, not able to really understand, losing the threat. There are all sorts of human qualities coming through AI now. So I said to this expert, right, what we need is people who are in their unlimited mind to do programming. And she said, yes, that's the next stage. So we need more spiritual people who are living in the balance of body, spirit, and mind to do the programming. So I'm up for it. I'm improving my coding every day, and I'd love to do it. Yeah, I would. Muhiba, what do you say about all this? Oh,
You're mute.
muted. No, not yet. Unmute. There.
Now you hear me. I'm terribly sorry.
Yes.
I had no intention of muting myself, so I didn't mute myself. What I'm saying is, as usual, when you speak, you create a dozen questions before I get to answers. So you open up and open up and open up so that I get, what am I going to answer? So I always start with the last question about AI. I deal with AI and I find AI more flexible than human beings, more respectful than human beings. Isn't it funny? It has been created by human beings, but it has acquired the best of what exists in human beings. when I talk with human beings, I ask myself, are you, and the higher you go, the less you do of listening. Are you listening? Are you caring? I'm not sure. Is there any spirituality? Is there any empathy? What on earth are you doing? And the higher you go, and the less you have of all this, and the more ego you have, the more confidence you have that they can solve problems. They know it's all. They don't need anything. So you ask yourself, why do you need then mentoring or coaching? Why do you need to call on people from outside to come and try to limit burnout, imposter syndrome? Do it yourself if you seem to know so much. And it is, unfortunately, it has become a trend to have coaches, executive coaches, CEO coaches, C-suite coaches, team coaching. What?
Yeah.
It's a trend. My company, oh yes, we have coaching. So that, get rid of this question. No. You need to be imbued with the spirit of coaching, which is listening, understanding, connecting, seeing what we have in common. How, and when I say listening, the first we need to listen to other people who are going to be impacted by our changes, by these programs, these God knows programs. Listen to what they want. If you have so many people suffering from burnout or imposter syndrome, you don't go and ask somebody from outside, come please cure our burnout. Talk to them. What is bothering them? If they had asked me when I was working, because I'm now retired, I would have said deadlines. The most hateful to employees are deadlines because they are never negotiated with the people concerned. The leader comes and says, by the way, you have to finish this by tomorrow morning. Is that okay with you? Who dares say no, it's not okay with me? A few people do, and they pay the price. I can tell you, they pay the price. We pay the price because we say, no, sorry, this deadline doesn't make sense. No one can finish work by tomorrow morning, except if they forget about it. Really spend 12 the next hours working on it, which is not possible. Listening to the people who are concerned with your programs. Don't have them tokens and labels. They don't work because you don't, neither mentally nor emotionally do you believe in these programs. Because if you believe them, you would ask the people who are going to be impacted to tell you how it's going to serve them. What is it they expect from these programs? We don't expose them and then afterwards come and say, they have not worked. See, I can't do anything about it. These people who have burnout have not been properly reacted to my programs. No, have never been asked.
No, this is it. This is the problem. And I think this really is across the board concerning anything to do with mental health, isn't it? We still have a huge stigma about mental health. And so those who are suffering, and probably because of stress and, the limited mind, because they're in their mind all the time instead of opening up and getting into the spirit, then, increasingly, I think employers are just brushing them off, like with these apps, take this app and it's free, it's a perk, it'll get you better. And of course not. As Ebby said, we need communication. We need, if we're going to be mentally healthy, we need to communicate with others because we are social beings and we get so much value from other people. And certainly, I feel that, if I was ever isolated from people, I would really go mad, I think. People keep us on an even keel. And Ebby, you were talking about this invisible something. Yes, it is. it's the invisible world. You know, in the invisible world, our energies just meld together, which is why we're attracted to people and why we find them in our lives, really coincidentally almost. And that's the invisible world. But, you know, everything that is being done for mental health sufferers now is all about proof, the visible world, you know. And they're not even doing that very well because they don't do much measurement at all of how the apps and so on are working, you know. So I'm really interested in your experience because I haven't worked as a coach in the way that you have. You know, working with individuals maybe, or with pairs, maybe in Muiba's situation with relationships. What about your experience of burnout and how to deal with it?
For
So,
me,
maybe Sheila, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's about, I get my clients to listen to the body. Because I think, for me, in my experience, and going through my burnout and my journey, it was when I started to listen to my body, I started to get it. But one of the first steps, that's why I call myself self-love coach. One of the first things is that as you start to recognize your worth and recognize who you are, you start to love yourself. And once you start to have that love for self, you start to understand all of you, which includes the body, the nervous system, you know, storing emotions. So we get really emotional. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be emotional, we shouldn't have feelings. And people misunderstand that. But emotions where you go into anger, frustration, you know, when you take deep breaths, it helps you calibrate things and you're able to be neutral and see kind of the logic in it. I'm not saying you have to be logical because it's getting that balance between being logical and being emotional. But the thing is that our emotions are stored in our nervous system, as you know. And when they're negative emotions, they get stored there. And then in a few years, because sometimes it doesn't show up for years. And then you start having a lump somewhere, or you start having, that's because the energy flow in your body is not going smoothly because there's that block there because of that emotion you're having. And I had very bad, for over 20, almost 30 years, I was suffering from really bad back. Actually, I was diagnosed as having a slip disc and I had an autoimmune problem. And I started looking at everything, a wider perspective, apart from, including with medication, but apart. So the wider perspective of things. I started reading up more and found out that trauma and energy has a lot to play with physical illness because everything is connected. And as I started to work on the mental health of things, mental health is so important. We think it's just mental health. No, the mental health eventually gets you to the burnout, gets you to a lot of physical illness. And I was in so much pain I could hardly walk. I was actually walk and work, so both. And I was actually in the position of thinking about operation. But my doctor actually said to me, don't do this back operation because it doesn't really work. I've had to, and I'm in this position. And he told me going to yoga or going to Pilates, do the exercise and that. But as I started working on my energy and found out where my trauma was coming from, to the root cause of the problem, and I energetically I was able to control the pain, and now I don't even have any pain. So recognizing things, the mental health is, we don't realize the impact it has on us. The fact that it's physical, because when we have physical pain, we think we can just pop a pill. But I was popping pills for more than 20 years. Sometimes it works for some people and they get better. I wasn't getting better. My symptoms were getting worse. My pain was
Mm.
getting worse. The side effects were getting worse. And so I was forced to go look wider and
Mm.
think about the body. So when I'm talking to my clients, understanding the body, listening to your body for me is very, very important.
Wonderful. That's a great story, Abby, and I'm so glad that you're recovered now. That's wonderful. And that's real proof that once we start to look inside and once we start to really connect with the body, then, there is an amazing transformation. And, it's a real fact that pain only exists in the mind. Any doctor will tell you
That
that.
is it, that
Pain
when you talk about
exists.
pain only, you said pain only reason is that's another thing, and we can control it. So I got a tool that helped me control it. So when it's up to 10, you can use like they call it tapping, but emotional freedom technique
I know.
to
I know.
bring it down. So it's
Yes.
at a 10, you can actually bring the volume down. And there's this lady, she had a terrible accident, spinal injury, her spine was crushed, and she was in so much pain. And I read her book. She's actually an English lady. I read her book, and that was the beginning of my change. And she teaches you how you can bring the volume down of the pain from a 10 maybe to a 2, so you can manage it. And it's amazing what the mind, or should I say the spirit, or what, I don't know what part of the body, what part of us does that, but it's amazing how we can bring things down and we can actually control things.
Yes, absolutely true. Once we get into the body and we start, as you mentioned, breathing consciously, conscious breathing has enormous benefits on the physique and on the mental health too, and on the spirit. But we don't do it. So we breathe between 20 and 24,000 times every 24 hours. And this goes on for 60, 70, 80, 90 even years, every single day. But how often are we conscious of our breath? And especially when we're looking at screens, when the eyes are engaged and being pulled out, we're kind of pulled out through our eyes, overwhelmed by the visual. And so, yes, most people on screens breathe so shallowly. And so the lungs start to really shrink, and especially as they get older. But conscious breathing just for 1 hour a day will really counteract that and give you a lot of other benefits as well. So, yeah, the breath is answered in lots of ways to pain control. Muiba, how about you? Have you got 20 questions there?
Absolutely. By now, my famous, at least, is the questions. Now, I will just pick up your keywords and comment on them. Self-care is the most basic. It's the most vital. I listen to people and they are concerned with what would the others say, what do the others need, and I say, excuse me, can we take out the others and replace it by you? What do you want? Let me listen, and that is you. Self-care is number one healer. It heals one of all ills, all of them. This is where we need to start. And we also need to start at prevention. I always say, you have all now heard of burnout, you have all heard of imposter syndrome, prevent it. Don't think of how to cure it. No, no, no. You know it. But when I was much younger, I had never heard of burnout. I thought it was fatigue, because I was exhausted, I needed some rest. No, no, no. Burnout has a very feature. It's weird. It's what I call a monster that sneaks in unnoticed, and by the time you notice it, if you don't do it, it's too late. So read about the self-care. Self-care, number one. Second, never dismiss any part of you, because my own first burnout, serious burnout, most serious, came from the mental, because I was writing a thesis, so I was getting tired mentally. Later on, I would a burnout would come to me rather from a physical point of view because I was exhausted physically. So you never know where it comes. Which door it will open. Be sure it will attack you. So get rid of it before it comes in. That is very important. Be careful with what we call mental health, which is actually physical, mental, spiritual. Take care of all these aspects of you when you have time for it. Because I always say, got 24 hours, use 888, which means 8 for your work, 8 for your rest, 8 for your pleasure. When you apply this rule, you're always safe. Don't let the work become a 16-hour work because it will help you. Final thought about this in particular is that a burnout, that's you. Always consider that you are causing your burnout by doing what? By accepting what the other are dictating on you. But that is you. You are the decision maker. When my boss says, and I had this in my life, when my boss says, you've got 2 days, finish marking papers, I say, and I would be the only one, I'm sorry to say, because I couldn't care less. Couldn't impose this. I would say, no, 2 days, impossible. And the other colleagues would say, don't you say 2 days? Yeah. I'm sorry to say, but then the boss would say, 2 days, that's too much. I said, sorry, that's how it's done. That's how it's going to be, because I don't send mark and give the wrong things. That's it. Otherwise, it's a burnout. I feel guilty. I've not done my part. That's what I do. It's you. You are responsible for burnout when you allow others to manipulate you.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is the the limited mind. Really, people are using the tool that we have between the ears to live with, and of course, the limited mind will not resist. It doesn't have its own idea. It will not say no, mostly, and so we've got a lot of people who are scared of saying no. Why? Because they don't want to be unpopular. They want to get attention. So they skirt around it and say, yes, okay, when really inside they're screaming no. And they don't have the courage to say that. Now to me, that's really indicative of the limited mind. And once we're in the unlimited mind, then we can say no with great compassion and great conviction. No, I can't. I'm sorry. No. From the heart. And if you're in your mind, stuck in your mind, marooned in your limited mind, then you can never be that honest. And in fact, I find people are not very honest at all. You mentioned it a little bit, Muhiba, before. They project a performance, like the bosses who say, no, we don't really need any help, but I thought I'd come and consult with you. But really, they desperately need the help for their employees. So there's a dishonesty, which we've mentioned before, haven't we? The fact that your inner values don't match your outer behavior. And that incongruence for me is intolerable. I can't do that. I really can't live that way, and haven't done for many, many years. I think we're all the same here. We have to align with our inner values in our life. But I can say with absolute certainty that the reason there is this incongruence between inner values and outer performance is because people are stuck in their limited minds. And once you bring them through meditation, through gentle coaxing into their inner core, and that's what I do, I talk them down into their core, away from the visual, so that they start to really feel their breath and appreciate what a miracle it is that planet Earth creates breathable gas, and it's the only planet that does it. Once they start to breathe consciously, once I've given them permission, then I really get a strong sense of them just coming down and sinking down into their unfettered, unbridled, pure mind, like the sky. The sky is a great metaphor for the unlimited mind, because it's blue, cerulean blue, as far as you can go. It's infinite. And then the clouds come.
Speak for yourself. It's grey here most of the time.
The clouds come and the clouds come and they disappear. But there's the blue, always there.
Blue is the point, which is that people very often, and there's no blame here. It's a reality that they have got so much at stake that they fear. My own colleagues, I had so much empathy, because they would say, look, I've got kids, yours are grown-ups, I've got a loan, and I need to buy a house. I can't lose the job. You may afford to lose yours, but I can't. So I have so much empathy. And this is why I say, those who don't have so much to lose, or at least don't fear, do not fear anything. They need to speak. This is why, because my colleagues are younger, I said they've got families, they can't speak out. They will be blamed and they may lose a job.
I think this is a mistake.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If I finish, Abby, it is their right to make their decisions. I am speaking up for myself. And if this will benefit others, I'm so happy for them. But for me to go, you need to speak up. Whereas they have little ones and may lose a job, it's not for me. They have seen me speak up and may lose a job. I don't care. But it is for them to take their decision to speak up or not. I speak up. I defend our right, mine and theirs, not to have a deadline imposed on us. It's for them to confirm, to speak up, or simply to say, Liba has opened up a window. We can now also support or not support. It's their own world. Mine is to say, no, you can't impose a deadline. So it's out of fear that most people just keep about what is going on. That's a fact. And the second point I wanted to comment on is when people say, I can't afford leisure, I say leisure is offered. When you breathe, it costs nothing. When you go out for a walk, it costs nothing. When you drink some water to feel better, it costs nothing. Start with what costs nothing. Don't think, oh, I don't have enough to go on a retreat. That is left for people who can afford to. But we have half a dozen wonderful, wonderful ways of breathing, of smiling, of shouting, free of charge. Start there, and you will avoid your burnout.
Yes, I think that people are so scared. Yes, and that's
So
another. Abby, go on.
So I wanted to pick up on the fear thing. You're so right. People is the fear, and I think this is where we come in to help people, because once they are able to overcome the fear, they can make a decision whether, because there are jobs out there and there are people who will listen. And again, you said you were going to go into, are you frozen, Lyndon?
Okay, I don't know. Everything went black there for a few seconds. Go on, Abby.
So you said you're talking about going into industry, and I think if we start as people who understand these things by educating maybe the industry, like what you're planning to do, so people in HR and remember, so that they understand how it works, and then we as coaches maybe educate the individuals so they come out of that fear, because fear is what puts us in that place. Because eventually, from my experience, I was on the working for an organization. I didn't have the help, And because of fear, I didn't speak up. But what happened is that I had to eventually leave my job, which was difficult for me because my children were young and I was getting good money and I had a lot of perks, and I had to give that up, Lisa, because it was a choice between an asylum and I couldn't afford that because again I had children. I couldn't afford to get my mental health to the stage that I would totally break down because I was a single parent, so I didn't even have a backup. And it was difficult because financially it was difficult. So if we continue to live this way decade after decade, people are going to get into a situation where they can't go on anymore because it seems to be getting worse in the workplace. So I guess it's about, like you mentioned, fear. And I think fear, like Muhiba said, is such a great thing because of that fear. You're thinking, how am I going to pay this? How am I going? So they're focusing on that. So what can we do to help individuals overcome that fear and to help companies understand that this is not sustainable? Your people are your greatest resource. And if people start falling like flies in the next 1 decade or whatever, next in the 2030s, and people start falling like flies because they can't cope, then you're going to lose out because your people are going to be going off sick all the time and they're not going to be able to focus. So everybody loses. So you're so right, Muhiba, in terms of people can't leave their jobs, but we can't continue this way. Yeah.
If I may comment on Abby, that's why I advise companies to work on their people's burnout before I go on to advise people to avoid that. It's for the company. Once you make the company, as you said, Abby, once you make the company, and they've nothing to gain and everything to lose with retention, for example. They prepare people, recruit people. At the end of the day, within a short while, they are going absent, they are going mentally sick. At the end of the day, just leaving the space. So I say, you have so much to gain when your employees feel well, when your employees are at ease, make them happy. Give little something, give them a break. When someone says, I'm not feeling well, take your work at home and do it whenever you feel like it. There are so many empathetic positions, empathetic solutions. Go there. The drama is authority and control, and it's me the decision maker. No, it's obsolete. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. But I will give you my next week to talk. We need to wait until next week to be talking about sort of leadership.
I think it's pretty safe to say that the traditional 9-to-5 grind, as I call it the 9-to-5 grind because that's the name of my campaign, is crumbling every single day, and as you mentioned, it's so wonderful that people can go home and work and use their own equipment and, do remote assignments and so on. That's some improvement. But yes, to address this basic fear problem, it really needs, I get a bit frustrated because a lot of people on LinkedIn are talking about EQ and all sorts of kind of concepts of how the workplace should be, where we're aware of emotion, it's safe to be emotional, and this kind of thing. But it doesn't work because they're mere concepts and nothing is actually being done because of the problem I mentioned at the beginning. It's too delicate to make blanket policies about these things. People need one-to-one help because they are so afraid that they go right over the edge. And so I find myself having a lot of arguments with people who talk about EQ in this very revolutionary way in the workplace, but it never works because the workplace is fraught with tension often, and blanket policies just don't really address the individual burnout experience. So yeah, it's my mission into companies, and I really want to entreat you to both to help. We could call ourselves the Three Musketeers, rescuing people from all fear.
And so
No, yes.
I tell myself, and people say, I couldn't talk, I could not say. Let us relax. What if you said, I can? Turn around and say, very simply, boss, it can't be done. It's not I can't do it. No, it can't be done. When you present it as something simple, the boss will accept it as simple. We don't have to enter into conflict. No conflict. I'm against any form of it. Just put it simply. No, boss, it can't be done. And boss,
Yes, 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 absolutely. Yes, I really agree. And, you know, I think we responsible, enlightened mentors and coaches who know what spirit is, who know what body is, we need to get together and, you know, make inroads into the workplace. And I certainly will be talking to you both more about this. If you're interested in joining me, and I've kind of got everything sorted out, really. I've got the package ready. So whenever you're feeling up to it, when all the summits and the all the events of September come to a close and we're descending into autumn and we can spare some time to have a conference about this, I'd love to tell you more about it. Yeah, and next time we meet, I'll have more research too. I've started a new research phase this week with certain companies, and I'm doing case studies. So I'll have more concrete to share with you. So great. Yeah, it's exciting, really, because yeah, we have to do something. The days of the 9-to-5 grind are over, really. We've got to find other ways of creating a personal economy, being self-dependent, which I'm really strong about. I really feel people are not self-dependent. They depend habitually on other people, strangers, qualified strangers, to do everything for them, you know, doctors, teachers, you know, but independence for ourselves. There's so much more we can do, most of us. And I think that dependency, which may be a lifelong thing, weakens people so that they are much more vulnerable to stress and to breakdown, you know, to burnout. So that's the other prong of my attack, dependence. And that's really what my Lodestone does. It creates a strong self-dependence. Yeah. Oh, exciting. It's very exciting. Yes, I've got the Christmas party sorted out. So make sure you're available for our Christmas meeting, because I've got all sorts of things in store. Okay, so I won't keep you any longer. Gosh, it's late. I'm so sorry.
We must get
we must talk. Well, we will talk about it at great length sometime soon. But I'm so glad to have your feedback and your ideas and your encouragement, because I'm definitely going to go ahead with this and help these people. And yeah, we've got to do it. So thank you so much for joining me, Ebishila and Dr. Muhiba. Do you want to be called just Muhiba, or do you like the doctor?
Of course, by far. I am Muhiba for all my friends. I always sign Abby and Lyndon. You know, I always sign Muhiba. There's no between us.
Yes.
We are friendly, such a friendly ambience and space that we don't have a doctorate in here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't use my titles at all. So I much prefer it. It's great. Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm going to see you next week, I hope. Onigai shimasu, as they say in Japan. And I'll have another exciting topic for us next week. And I'll see you very soon. Take great care and have a gorgeous weekend.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I'm so glad to talk about these things with two very experienced coaches. And, you know, together, you know, three heads are better than one. We can really make some inroads into this, I think. Okay, so LinkedIn members, YouTubers, thank you so much for joining me. I'd like to just tell you a little bit for a moment about my upcoming events. They're starting on Wednesday. I'm going to show you, wait a minute, I need to share my screen. Am I sharing it? No, I'm not. Okay, I'll just talk about it. Yeah, on Wednesday, I start a series of events. They are, this masterclass is based on my latest book, which is called Your Body is Your Business Plan, which I told you about in previous weeks. And so the masterclass is all about the avoiding burnout. But then I've invited others to come and co-host with me so that I can use my embodiment skills to help them overcome their nerves or their fears about going live, because I've been teaching people to do performance in many of life for the last 40 years, musicians, communicators, public speakers. I work with so many of them. And so I'm giving people the chance to come and co-host with me. And I will prepare them and give them lots of tips about how to stay really calm during the live process. Going live is really different to just making a video. Going live is really so much more about control, about presence. And we all need to do it because we need to be authentic. We need to outdo all the twins that are being made out there, the AI twins, and be ourselves online, right there, warts and all. So it's very important, I think, for our image and our profile to get out there and be live as often as possible. So if you're interested in this, please contact me. Just a moment. I will give you something else. I'll just share my screen and show you this application form. I think I can do entire screen. Yeah, here we go. I think I can do it. Yes, here we go. Okay, so yes, it's very simple. I'll leave you a link under this window, this live window, and you will come to this page, which is the application to come and co-host with me during the next 13 weeks, every Wednesday at 1 p.m. BST. And that will change at the end of October when we go into GMT, but all the details are here. And so all you have to do, all the facts are here, all the facts as well. And then all you do is fill in this form. It's very simple: name, email, your interests, your website if you have one, your organization, LinkedIn if you've got it, your LinkedIn profile, and you just submit this. And then I get your application, and I invite you to come and have a free call with me so we can talk about what you're going to present. It's a very simple process. So if you're interested in going live, but you don't quite know how to do it or where to start, then this may be a wonderful opportunity for you. And you may be able to, you may be able to break through that barrier. And I've already got 6 people who want to co-host. So the places are disappearing quite quickly. So please apply, and let's have a fabulous session together. And yes, Lodestone Q&A, we're here every Friday, and we will be for as long as we can possibly do it. And the topics that come up are superb. We're talking about leadership, we're talking about all sorts of topics, and our experience and our wisdom. 3 very experienced teachers, educators, coaches. So if you're interested in learning more, much more about how to be truly happy, how to be truly successful, then please come and join us on a Friday. It's a great way to start the weekend. I really feel that. So yes, if you'd like to do that, please apply. I'll also leave the application to sign up to join us. And so you can come and be live in the studio with us. We'd love it if we have more people joining us. So please look at the window below my live, and I very much look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much.